Just coming in. So we can see people coming in.
Yeah, they're arriving quite quickly. 18 already. That's...
Right, that all seems to be working. Connor, what I'll do is I'll put myself on mute and take myself off camera and hand it across to you. I'll be.
Yeah, I'll give it another minute or so before kind of before opening up, will we?
Yeah, that's fine.
Let's go. Now go straight to presentation mode. I don't think it's here now. Page. Okay, will we start the way, so Neil?
Sounds good, Connor. Just to make sure, can everyone hear me speaking and see?
I can hear
Connor?
you fine, yeah.
Good. Okay. Good. I'll hand it over to you, Connor.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. First and foremost, I'd like to welcome you all to this session here today. This is the third in a series of talks on sustainability and the FM industry. Before we start, I'd like to briefly review some of our house rules for today. First and foremost, can I remind everyone that this session is going to be recorded and this will be available to the IWFM membership afterwards. In addition, as part of our approach to professional and continual development, CPD points are also available where you can accredit to your IWFM account or other professional organization. And while we're still faced with the challenges of managing online, we're hoping that this session today will be a bit more collaborative and interactive. And we've structured this a little differently. As a result, we will be able to interact a little better with one another. However, to make sure everyone can benefit, I would request that all of the audience mute their microphones unless you have a question or a contribution. If you do, please use the chat function or even put up your hand. You'll see at the bottom of the screen there's a function to raise your hand, and I'll ask you then to make your point, or Neil will. At that point, then you might switch on your microphone. So whenever you think of a question, please do let us know. Julie's quite happy for this to happen as an interactive discussion rather than in the form of a lecture. I'd also like to acknowledge the support of our sponsors. None of this, of course, would be possible without them. And, a debt of gratitude to Veracity for their support of this series of IWFM events. Paul McCormack, the MD, would be delighted to discuss any of your M&E requirements. So please feel free to contact Veracity, preferably after we're finished today's session. So this session follows on from some previous ones, particularly around sustainability and COP26 that we had in November. And one of the specific comebacks or feedback lessons learned from that was that generally the membership and the audience had a good understanding of what needs to be done, but would prefer a bit more information on how that might be achieved. So we've Julie Farrelly here today from the SEAI just to provide some information on that. So Julie's going to give some background into that there. Just a bit more on the sorry, I'm just going to share screen there. So I'm going to go through a few other bits and pieces here just on CPD. So we have a CPD number for anybody. Sorry, I'm not sharing. You can see that now. Is it sharing on screen? Julie, can you see that?
Yeah, no, I can see it there.
Okay, yeah. Sorry. Yeah, just to let you know that IWFM will be there to support you as a member. So we have a number of different events and networking activities throughout there. We also have, we want to be seen as a professional development partner of choice. So you can see there's 14,000 professionals. We're all feeding into the same kind of mechanisms whereby we can all learn from each other. The series of qualifications and in-house training and online learning activities inside there also. We also have a number of up and coming courses. Many of these are actually still virtual, although there will be more face-to-face as the year progresses. We'd also like just to draw your attention to a lot of the existing materials that are available on the Insight Hub. Some of these are research reports. The good practice guides I find particularly useful myself. And there are podcasts also available where you can catch up with what's the latest trends are. And obviously we have the continuing Navigating Turbulent Times webinar series. So look, at this point, I'd like to hand over to Julie. So Julie, thanks again for joining us here today.
Thanks so much, Connor.
Over to you. Thanks.
Cheers. Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining. I'm just going to share my screen there. Sorry, can you all see that?
Perfect. That's good,
Yeah,
Julie.
you can see that.
Great stuff. So my name is Julie Farley. Connor, thanks so much for having me on. I'm a program executive on the business and industry team in SEAI. I've been in SEAI for about 4 years now. This is my third role there. Originally, I was on the ocean energy team and then spent a lot of time on the domestic side. I'm qualified BOR assessor for homes, but not commercial. So the commercial side is quite new to me. So feel free to ask any questions. But if I don't know the answer, I will check out with the teams and come back to you afterwards with the answer on it, because I am still learning myself about the commercial side of the house. So I'll kick off there. So for anyone that doesn't know, SEAI, our role is to move towards a low carbon energy future. And this means like using less energy and clean energy. But I think that this has never been more relevant than it is today. You're seeing the petrol, the diesel prices shoot through the roof. You're seeing the price of gas and filling your tank with kerosene oil. It's become so expensive. And our role in SEAI is to make sure that we're moving everyone, homes, businesses, communities, to a sustainable, secure, and affordable place. So with that, we offer a range of business supports, and that's what I'm going to be taking you through today. And we also offer expertise and advice for all our partners and stakeholders. So I'm sure you're aware, like there's a lot of benefits of being a sustainable business. Savings being the number one. If you can run your business for a lower cost, you can increase your profit margins. It can give you that edge over other businesses. We have a lot of SMEs that come in and they're doing their energy audits and they're seeing savings of thousands that they have in potential for making those energy efficiency changes within their business. Another benefits, it's a winning new business. What we're seeing, especially in the public sector as well, tightening on their supply requirements. When you're going to procure work, are you sustainable? Do you have those practices in place? Boosting your reputation really helps you to get out there to let your customers know that you are sustainable. For the first time ever, we've seen that customers are putting sustainability ahead of cost. I think it was a report from EY, it was something like 27% of them are putting it ahead. So we're really seeing that growth for the first time ever. And also retaining staff. We're seeing that staff don't want to work somewhere where the business isn't climate aware, and that's becoming much more important for people when they're choosing where to work. So in SEAI, the big question we get all the time is like, what grants do you have? But we are so more than just grants. Yes, we have the financial supports, but it's a lot of education and training, networking opportunities, and also expert advice that we offer. And that's what I'm going to take you through today. And hopefully by the end of it, you won't just be like, where's the grant? You'll be coming to us for our other stuff as well. So we have a 5-step energy efficiency process in SEAI for businesses. And I'm sure as facility managers, you're probably saying, where do I start? What is the first thing I do? And just as if you were building a house, you have to plan. That's key. You have to learn and plan first before you dive into any solar panels or heat pumps or insulation. That is the key message from today. If you take anything away from it, is you have to understand your energy use. So the 5 steps are: 1, learning, understanding your energy use; 2, planning, so developing an energy action plan for your business, completing an energy audit, and then only when you have them steps done, then go into investing in your business in energy efficiency and renewable energy. And then the 5th one is also important. It's not so much covered by SEI, but it'd be really for you to monitor and review the progress. So that's really key as well. So I'm going to take you through the first step now. And again, as Connor said, feel free to interrupt me anytime. I actually can't see you guys, whatever way it's coming up, but yeah, feel free to just put in if anything doesn't make sense, if you have any questions. So the first part is understanding your energy use, and this is the learning bit. So as a facilities manager, you can log on to SEI and avail of our free Energy Academy. It's an e-learning platform. It's absolutely fantastic. It helps you to understand your energy use and increase your knowledge of energy related topics. Really, it's focused on a lot of behavioral changes that you can make. There's 24 modules up there, including, introduction to EVs, solar panels, understanding your bill, decarbonizing your business. And what we found is, even just with behavioral changes, you can reduce your energy bills by up to 10%. So it's a really fantastic jumping off point. It's the first thing we suggest that businesses do. And you can find that on our website at /Energy Academy. Oh, sorry. The second thing we suggest that you do is do an introduction to energy management training. So Connor, I think this is something that we could organize separately for your members. When we get a large group together, we can do a bespoke energy training. And this is a really great way of, for energy management practices, to a trainer-led online workshop. So this would be 2 sessions, 1 hour each, with an optional follow-up if you want. And we get one of our consultants to bring you and your members through how, like the basics for the energy training, how to understand their bills, what changes they can make. And it's very interactive, so it's great. So if that is something that you guys are interested in, we've workshops every 2 to 3 months. We'd be more than happy to set one up for you through myself or my colleague Sarah, and you can register for that at business@sei.ie. So then the third step, so we have the learn and the plan. So these are the first 3 steps, is the support scheme for energy audits. So this is the program that I run in SEAI. So it offers SMEs a voucher for €2,000 to get an energy audit done of their premises. So that's your buildings and your transport. It is only for SMEs though. So that means you have to have less than 250 employees. You have to have a turnover of less than 50 or a balance sheet of less than 43 million. So the energy audits are carried out by one of our registered energy auditors, and we have a list of them online that you would select from. But to be eligible for this, your company needs to spend at least €10,000 per year on their energy, have a valid CRO number, and be tax compliant. It's open all year. You can apply anytime, and you can apply on our website at the SME/energy audits. So what is an energy audit? It's really a deep dive into how your businesses use energy. So it's really bespoke to you. The auditor will come out and they'll analyze your energy bills. It'll be a site visit. Typically they take half day, but for much larger sites, it could take 1 or 2 days. And at the end of it, you'll get an energy audit report with detailing bespoke for your business, what changes you can make and what energy you're currently using. So why get an energy audit? Well, you're going to compare your current and potential energy costs. So if you're sitting there and you're like, I don't know where to start, this is a fantastic way to really detail what to do. It's going to identify specific energy saving opportunities, and it's going to prioritize the most beneficial actions. Something we get in SEI a lot is people come in and they're just like, I just want the solar panels. And we're like, okay, well, do you know that that's the best for you? Do you know that that's going to give you the best bang for your buck? Is it going to actually reduce your CO2 emissions? No, they just like it because you can actually physically see it, which I understand. However, it might not be the best for you, So doing the energy audit is going to pinpoint what is the best decision for you about your energy use and investment. Because this is an investment. You do have to put money into to save energy. You have to, put the insulation in, change the LEDs. That all costs money and time. So you want to make sure that you're doing the right thing before you do anything. And this is just
Julie,
yeah,
sorry, we have a question in there actually from Ashleen Regan Byrne.
yeah,
Are energy audits available for public buildings?
no. So and that's a really good question, Ashing. Public buildings are obligated to carry out energy audits under I forgot what it's called, but they are. So public buildings should be doing this anyway every year. They're supposed to be monitoring and reporting on their energy use. So they are not included in this.
Okay, thanks. I have a question myself there actually, Julie. Looking
Yeah.
at the 5-step process, so understanding your energy use, so capturing the baseline, obviously, of energy consumption across the building or the campus. But the next step then is developing an energy action plan. I'm just thinking, and the third one being complete an energy audit.
Yeah.
Would it not make more sense to do the audit first to understand and then decide what the plan is? How does someone decide what the plan is if they haven't done the audit yet?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. So we say that you have to learn first. Someone could hand you this report, and if you don't have a clue about, a lot of people do have an understanding, but then a lot of people don't. If you don't have a clue about where to start or what this means, you can't implement the actions of the energy audit. So you need to learn the basics first. And they are basics. They are things like how to read your energy bill. So your energy auditor is going to come in and say, well, this is your energy bill for the last 12 months. Your MIC, you're on the wrong level. You need to swap that down. You might not have a clue what they're talking about. So we really encourage people to join the Energy Academy first to get a baseline understanding of energy and energy use and their bills and what that means before they go into actually planning the steps. So that's why that's there first, because we really are catering for someone who's, never heard about it before, for people that, are quite aware. So it just depends on the level yourself.
Okay, so step 2 is about training up on an energy action plan, is it? Am I right there?
Yeah, so the step 2 is, yeah, exactly. So
Maybe would you mind going back a few slides? Sorry, not to
yeah,
interrupt, but just
no worries. I'll go back to this.
so just when I was looking at it. So here we have step 2 is developing an energy action plan. So if someone doesn't have that familiarity, are they better guided by
Yeah, so
getting the energy audit done first, and then you decide what plan and what to prioritize thereafter?
Yeah, so this one can be, the 2 and 3 can be an either or. So a lot of the time, say if you didn't have an energy spend of 10,000 euros a year, you wouldn't be eligible for the energy audit. So we would do the energy management training. But again, if you had a group like yourselves that wanted to come together and get, an expert to give you the 2 hours training on it, we provide that. So it is because the energy audit isn't for everyone. It is only for SMEs with an energy spend of over 10,000.
Okay, thanks very much.
No worries. So just to finish off on the energy audit, this is what one looks like. It's going to be a picture of your building. It's going to be a red, amber, green of what your current status is like and what your potential is for your premises. It's going to give you an overview of your energy spend and the potential that you can reach if you implement the actions that the energy auditor has identified, and also the CO2 change that you can save. The table below outlines, like you could change your lights, you could add solar, adapt a heat pump. It's going to give you the cost of that, the CO2 savings, the payback, and also if we have any grants in SEAI that you can use for that, it's going to note them there. So as a facilities manager, like, this is a great way to, if you are bringing this to senior management, it's really clear to say, these are the savings we can make. This is why it's worth it. It makes it much easier to pitch to people because you do need that senior buy-in to make those changes. So this is a great opportunity to do that. If you want to apply, you can apply at SME/energy audits. You choose your auditor, you apply, the voucher is given automatically, so there's no wait time from SEAI. You organize the site visit with the auditor yourself. You do need to be available for them, to let them in, give them the bills, show them around. And then the auditor does the payment and the paperwork on your behalf. So there's no, back and forth with SEAI there for you. They're doing it on your behalf. So then we get to step 4, which is you've done your learning and your planning, and now you should be ready to do your energy efficiencies or your renewables. So we have a few of these in SEAI, and the first one is EXEED, which you might have heard of. So this is excellence in energy efficiency design. It's for brand new buildings and facilities, or upgraded or repurposing of existing buildings or facilities, and also for manufacturing processes. So it really helps businesses achieve optimum energy performance by applying a standardized approach of project design. It gives grants of up to €1 million per project, and it's open to businesses and public sector organizations. So that's key. But just to flag that EXEED is for larger businesses. So there is a criteria where you do have to have 100,000 kilowatt hours annual energy consumption to be eligible for EXEED. So that if you were roughly to put that into spend, if you were spending 10 to 15,000 euros a year on energy, you probably wouldn't be big enough for EXEED. So you probably need to use another grant in SEAI. But that is EXEED 1. And sorry, things seems to be frozen. Oh, there we go. So these are just some case studies. The first one is from a global agriculture business. They undertook the EXEED grant by installing a high efficiency heat recovery system in their fresh milk pasteurization. So this captured the waste from the refrigeration, and that was used to heat in the pasteurization. So they were able to offset 780 tons of CO2 annually, which is incredible. And that really reduced their on-site emissions for reducing this milk product by 85%. Similarly, the DAA, they completed the EXEED grant. They did a car park lighting upgrade. It's a design-led approach. They installed nearly 700 LED lights, and that resulted in an 80% saving for them. Not only that, but swapping to the LED gave them more control over the maintenance, and also that the lights had a longer lifespan than traditional lighting. So that's just 2 examples of what the EXEED grant covers. Sorry. And then we have the ACA. So this is Accelerated Capital Allowance. So this is based on, the wear and tear allowance for investing in capital plant and machineries. So where capital depreciation can become compensated to the reduction of the organization's tax liability. So the scheme allows for companies that pay corporate tax in Ireland to deduct the full cost of the equipment from their profits in the year that they purchase it. So, by contrast, the wear and tear allowance, if anyone's heard of that, that's spread over an 8-year period, where the ACA for renewables and energy efficient products is spread over 1. So it's a really good one. We have a list of products that you can choose from on our website. It's kind of one that gets overlooked a lot, but it's a great one to consider if you are, upgrading your equipment. And then we have, this is our first renewable one that I'm going to talk about. This is the support scheme for renewable heat. So this is for commercial, industrial, agri, district heating and public sectors users that want to convert from fossil fuels to renewable heat. So it's a 2-step process. The first bit is the grant support of up to 30% for heat pumps, so be that air source, ground or water. But also on top of that, there's an ongoing operational tariff for biomass boilers, biogas boilers, so that might be anaerobic digestion, and biomass or biogas high efficiency combined heating and power solutions. So the SSRH really allows you to choose the best renewable solution for your business. It covers most forms of space heating, water heating, and process heating. Heating is definitely the most difficult one we have in Ireland. It's definitely the most challenging, but there's a lot in it, but there's a lot of detail on our website about it, and you can also contact the team there. I actually don't have their link, but I'll add it in. They're more than willing to talk to anyone who's interested in it, that you can give them a shout. And then finally, the final step you can take is the Community Energy Grant. So I don't know if anyone's heard of this one, but there is a grant in SEAI. It supports energy efficiencies for community projects through capital funding. So basically, what it's looking at is bringing communities together, whether that's home, community buildings, businesses, large industry, to decarbonize their local community. So you and all businesses are eligible for that. You can apply through the SEI. It's currently not open yet. It will be open pretty soon. But this one is great because a project coordinator is going to do it on your behalf. So the project coordinators are looking for business. They're looking for businesses to, come in with them on this project. It's typically 30% grant aid funding for the project. And for SMEs who do complete their energy audit, they do receive additional scorings for it. So it's kind of more of like an incentive for SMEs to get involved. So for more information on that, you can see the website or email them directly, the lads at beck@seai.ie. So that's all from me. I'll stop sharing there. I know there's a lot in there. So if anyone has any questions, happy to take them.
I might start off with one or two, if that's okay, Julie.
Yeah.
You mentioned at the start about, I suppose, by implementing these changes, that you increase kind of, company reputation, winning work. Have you any examples of that, or something a bit more tangible? What does that look like?
Yeah, so it might be things like, so for winning work, like on the public sector side, we can only rent or buy buildings that have a B or rating of a highly efficient, so a B or an A. So you're getting into things like, is that your building? Are you renting your space? If so, then if you have a building, a B or rating lower than that, then we can't rent off you. It's those changes that are coming in that we're seeing, and it's trying to get ahead of them to make sure your business is energy efficient, your facility is running efficiently. So it's those type of changes. I don't have specific ones for SMEs, but even on the
Okay.
procurement side, you're seeing it coming in the contracts as well. It used to be the ethical piece, now it's the sustainability piece as well.
Yeah, I was on a training course recently for green public procurement, and I suppose what the OGP, the Office of Government Procurement, are currently pushing is they're looking for more, that sustainability will become a factor as part of the overall evaluation piece. And
Yeah.
in fact, what it's going to be enforced, in fact, quite soon in the next year or 2 years, whereby companies will need to demonstrate what their carbon footprint is. And I'm guessing this is very much part of that process,
Yeah.
and demonstrating what measures they have in place in order to reduce that carbon footprint and how they're monitoring that. So this process here that you're suggesting is very much, feeding into that and can very much support that. So for those looking to, kind of win work in the public sector, sustainability will become a specific criteria in its own right. And I would see that, the scoring, the weighting for that will start increasing over time. In fact, you made a good point there earlier also about where customers are willing to pay more as long as the sustainable solution is there also. And we're starting to see that also. You mentioned then also on the e-learning platform about behavioral changes. I thought that's quite interesting. Something I've seen has come to there's something to recognize more recently is around culture and behavior. So what practical examples would you have there, for our attendees here today? What's a
Totally.
behavioral change or cultural change that people can look at?
Well, I don't want to give them all away because obviously they're on the Energy Academy. But yeah, we are seeing that. Like the thing that we have to remember in SEI is that this isn't people's main business. People are, running their businesses, and sustainability for a lot of the time is something nice to have. And, with COVID and Brexit and everything that's going on, it can be really hard to implement that. It becomes, lower down the line. So it is about having even a policy in place for staff. Like really simple things that you've all heard, like stickers over the lights, like turn me off. Um, you know, having something in place, but it's really about having a champion for it. If you don't have that champion for it, like if you have the facilities manager, if you have a senior manager, someone who's pushing it to be like, come on, we're going to swap our usage or our supplier every year for our gas. They're the things that make the changes. From a behavioral side, it's making staff aware. You know, don't leave the machinery on when it's not in use. Turn your PC off when it's not in use. Um, Adding it in kind of like, those IT security things that you have to do.
Yes, yeah.
That's what a lot of people use the Energy Academy for. So we might get some businesses and they've said to us, we roll this out and all staff have to do it because it's free. So at the end of the Energy Academy, you get a certificate to say like Conor Cooney completed, this on the Energy Academy. So staff are definitely using that in their organization to upskill them for free on how to be
Very
more
good.
sustainable.
Excellent, excellent. We've a few questions coming in here actually from attendees. I'll unmute some people here. So
Yeah.
first up there is Michael Thomas McAdoo. Michael, I just hopefully you should be able to talk there now.
Yeah, no, I'm from the Northern Ireland Ambulance Service, obviously based up north. I was just wondering, is SEIA, is that only for the south or does it extend up into the north?
It is only for the south, Michael. Yeah.
Okay, that's okay.
Okay. Next up here is James Weldon. James, would you like to ask your question there?
Yeah, how you doing, guys? Just you mentioned there about the CHP on site. That we have a CHP which is gas fed at the moment, and we're thinking about obviously the CO2 emissions that reduce and all that. Would you be able to refurbish it to use biomass, and would it be a grant included for that? That's all.
I don't know, James, is the answer. Like obviously it has to be a high efficiency CHP. So I'm not sure if they allow like retrofitting of them, but happy to go to the lads and ask them and can get back to you afterwards if you want to throw your email in.
Okay, I'll do that, yeah.
There might be some, embodied carbon benefits here, perhaps, Julie, by prolonging asset life, refurbing existing assets, that we're looking at circular economies effectively.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I think absolutely, James, I think if there's an opportunity, it sounds great,
Yeah.
We've only purchased it. It's only less than 2 years old, so I said we still want to keep it,
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. It would have to be swapped though, because obviously we don't fund for fossil fuels, and gas being one of those.
Yeah. If we did refurbish it, though, there would be a grant.
I'm not sure. I'd have to ask them, James.
Okay, I'm going to put my email in there now.
Yeah, maybe if you could put a specific email into the SEAI with kind of the circumstances of it, I'm sure they'll be able to support that.
Okay.
Please keep the questions coming, everybody
Thank
else. Thanks, James. Thanks for that. Another one there, Julie. I suppose the carbon taxes are going to be, implemented or further implemented. How will that impact on these kind of considerations for people that are managing buildings? Obviously comes into the financial assessment, I suppose, really, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, the carbon tax is there to get people off fossil fuels. It's going up every year. I mean, you've seen the changes with the diesel and petrol. It hasn't been touched. It's been the levy that's been changed, which, personally, I think that's great. It really shows the commitment that the government have to decarbonising Ireland, keeping us sustainable and keeping us on that right track. But that is like the carbon tax is there to keep the pressure on to get people to come off fossil fuels, to do those energy efficiency measures, insulate, change from gas and oil. So I mean, that's its role, and it should be
Yeah.
working.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. We've Paula Cahill. Paula, do you wanna... Hi, Paula. Can you hear us? Maybe.
I think Paul is on mute.
Yeah. Might be your own mute, Paula. Is it?
Yeah,
There
I
we go.
am on
Sorry,
mute.
there you are. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I don't have a specific question.
Oh, sorry, your hand was up. Sorry.
Okay, sorry, I don't know how I did that. Apologies.
Okay.
I
Okay.
suppose, Connor, if I could just say, I know we were chatting beforehand, like for your members, there is so much out there for people, and it can be really, really overwhelming, you know, where to start, what to do. But if you do follow that process of learn, plan, and do, absolutely, that is the best way to do it. If I could just say to people, don't invest in any energy efficiency or renewables without doing that homework first. It's risky. This is a business, and they need, you know, to make profits and operate. And you can't do that if you don't plan out correctly. So, you know, take the time and do that. I know it's so tempting to want to just jump into the grants and do them, but know what's best for your business. Plan that out first. The grants will still be there, and they'll be there for you when you're ready to apply. Do that afterwards.
I think that's actually really good advice, because certainly we're working with a client at the moment, you know, district heating, and they are looking at what's coming 5-10 years down the line in terms of regulation around that, and what will be acceptable technologies around that.
Yeah.
So for someone to invest in a technology which may, may soon enough be no longer acceptable, or be black marked or something. It's good advice. I think,
Yeah.
have the foresight to see what's coming ahead, and again, talk to yourselves in advance about that.
Absolutely.
Okay. Any more questions out there? We just another one. Just biomass, Julie. Is that still sustainable? I mean, what's
Yep.
I've seen where there is a debate going in terms of where it's sourced from, the biomass material itself. So look, historically, Ireland had been served from various different parts of Ireland, obviously, but also from North America, where chip was coming from. And you're wondering then the total carbon to bring that across from North America to Ireland.
I mean, where do you
what's
stop
the trade-off? Yeah, exactly. And look, maybe that kind of, before we came on here today, we had kind of a chat about scope 1, scope 2, and scope 3 carbon emissions, and that's where people should also consider, their services and goods, how that's procured also. It'd be part of the whole process. Okay.
So we recently launched a heat study in SEAI for Ireland, and the heat study looked at, are we going to meet the targets set out in the Climate Action Plan? And at the rate we're going, no, we're not. So they were looking at the different scenarios of what we need to do. And what was really coming out of the heat study was we have to use what's already available to decarbonise the heat sector in Ireland. District heating, biomass, what we already have. We can't be waiting on new technologies to come. We have to use what we have. That's the only way we're going to hit our targets, and really ramping them up. So you just touched on district heating there. Like even through that study, they were saying, it's actually much more accessible than we thought it was originally. I think it is something that we're going to see a lot more of in Ireland through the district heating. Hopefully down the North Dock, because I'm down here. But yeah, it is. We do have to use what we have and stop waiting for new technologies to come on.
Okay. I've no further questions unless anybody has any final questions from
and Andrew
audience.
Mullen. Andrew Mullen's
Sorry.
got a question. Let me just unmute.
Hi, Andrew.
Hi, how are you? Just a quick question on CHP. Like, obviously, it's a major gas burning piece of equipment, and like, where is its future with the government looking to phase out fossil fuels? Like, just in my own company, we have a few that are offline at the moment, and we're just considering our options. And we want to know that if we're going to spend 150 grand per property, that in 2 or 3 years' time, that the government won't say, you know what I mean? Say, well, it's a gas burning appliance and like the high efficiency carbon rebate is there now. Will it always be there? Because that can make the difference between it actually saving you money. I know it reduces carbon because of the energy being generated on site and you don't have the losses over the distribution network. But where do you see CHP in, we'll say, 5 years' time?
Yeah. So Andrew, like, I won't try and answer this. This definitely isn't my area. I don't know enough about it, but I can put you guys in touch with the SSRH team. Maybe that will be a good point of contact, because I know there's a few questions around it. But for the SSRH scheme, because it is giving that tariff, that is locked in. That is the support over the 15 years, supporting people who do go through that route. And it is, I suppose, when you go through the SSRH grant, they are approving that technology and saying, yes, this is fit for purpose, and we are giving you that tariff for the next 15 years. So that's the comfort there. But I do understand if you're doing it outside of SSRH, that you don't have that comfort and you don't have that feed-in tariff. So I can't answer on that one. Apologies.
I'm just wondering, Julie, Arvia, I suppose, looked at a parent company for Gas Networks Ireland. They obviously watching this also in terms of, I'm just looking here, there's hydrogen and carbon capture and storage. Maybe Andrew, look, I'm thinking beyond 5 years here now, but 5, 10 and up to 2050, they obviously have plans in place of how they are going to look at replacing kind of fossil fuels, gas and the likes of that. And maybe that's a website to be monitoring to see what their plans, and that you could be kind of aligning yourself to what they are offering in due course.
Yeah, I think they got a project a few years ago as well down in Kinsale. Was it for the carbon capture storage?
Probably the old Kinsale gas field, was it? Yes, so probably going to use that as a kind of a storage, carbon capture and storage, CCS, I think they call it. Yeah. I think, as I read it off screen. So look, that's possibly one option there, Andrew, I'm guessing. On a longer term
thanks,
basis.
Conor. Look, I might be in touch to get some details from you.
Okay. I don't know if there's any other questions. Nobody else got their hand up. Okay. Okay, look, if there's nothing else. If there's nothing else, I'd just like to thank Julie again. Very insightful. I'd like to think that everybody has a bit more of the how today, and how the SEAI are there to support you on that journey. There's no doubt it's worth touching base with them. Even just to kind of as a, just to bounce some ideas off them, and just kind of value check what your plans are. So Julie, thanks very much for that. Really appreciate that.
No worries. Thanks so much for having me on.
Yeah, on our own committee, I'd like to thank Pat Gahan also for organising this, and Neil Everett here also with IWFM Corporate for supporting it also, and facilitating this as well. So without further ado, I'd like to thank you all. Enjoy the remainder of your lunch, and we'll see you all again very soon. Talk to you soon. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks. Bye. Bye.